I mean, there were some accounts before that, the very famous Betty and Barney Hill incident, which, again, there are a lot of very ambiguous aspects of that point to it as being a mostly psychological experience. One of the few things people talk about, they always talk about Betty Hill. They don't talk about Barney much. Barney also underwent hypnosis, and he described what happened to him. Now, the aliens he saw did not look like the aliens that she saw, and in fact, he saw a uniformed Nazi officer on the ship. This gets right into the whole space Nazi saucers from the secret Nazi Antarctic base kind of deal. He said, as I remember from the transcript, he's a German Nazi. He's looking at me and he doesn't like me any much because he was African American. And, these seem to be reflecting the psychological makeup of Betty and Barney. They were an interracial couple at a time when that was very shocking. They no doubt had a lot of anxiety about that, plus a lot of social pressures. I'm sure they faced a lot of difficulties in their lives. So when they had this experience, it was expressed through this psychological matrix. Now, I'm not saying they didn't have an experience. I think they did. But it's very difficult to separate out the personal, the personal reality grid that people have. I like to look at the meta effects. What happened here? You had consciousness altering experience. You were given a message. You had these things happen to you. You had this sort of a message. It doesn't matter so much what the specifics are. And the specifics include their own personal details of what an alien looked like or how a piece of technology is explained. These contactees would have alien technology explained to them again and again, and none of it made any sense. Some of them he actually tried to build devices. This one guy was saying they taught him the secret of the flying saucer motors. A lot of it seems to have to do with counter-rotating magnets and stuff like that. It's all kind of like grade school kind of electronics kind of deals. So I really think something is happening to people, but I think sometimes we're focusing too much on these particular details, which are less important than the fact that these people had a consciousness altering experience. They interacted with something that's trying to communicate with them. And again, if you're communicating with something completely alien, there's going to be vast difficulties. It's like trying to pierce through a veil. I always go back to that wonderful phrase. It's like looking at things through a glass darkly. So yeah, it's when I love the details of these things. Like there was a case, I go on all night. There was a case down in Pennsylvania which involved a Sasquatch and a flying saucer, and the guy later that was the main witness to this had experiences with big cats. That's a thing. He was working on his car and this cat came up and meowed and he ignored it and it meowed again and it was a deeper meow and it was bigger. And he got a little scared, but he ignored it, and then it meowed again, and it was like the size of a panther kind of thing. They don't report that because that sounds wacky. Yeah, in the market, it's like, what's going on here? But people do report these big cat experiences, like around here. We supposedly have no large cats living in the mountains where I am. And yet people report encountering large cats all the time. So they encountered something. What's going on? I've never heard of them actually finding any footprints of panthers or anything, and yet many hunters that go out, have reported this. So,
same as in the UK. Been living in Devon, I've got Exmoor and I've got Dartmoor on my borders, and obviously because how the license laws changed in the 1960s, and the releasing of animals onto the moors. There's an argument to say that we've got big cats.
They can usually find. I've heard that too. Well, they're released private ownership, or escapes from zoos or circuses and stuff like that. But it still seems kind of odd because, if you've got a big cat in an ecosystem that normally doesn't house big cats or has other predators that have taken that role, you wouldn't think they'd survive very well or that they would be more noticeable. You'd find carcasses, you'd find tracks more often. You do have animals killed mysteriously. We could get into the whole cattle mutilation thing,
Oh, yeah.
So but I'm just saying that you get people having these unusual experiences, and these experiences seem very similar over time and space. But when someone is reporting on a UFO incident, these things tend to get brushed under the rug. Like I say, a lot of people that have these experiences report, "Hey, Bob." A lot of people experience manifestations of things that we would think of as psychic phenomena, poltergeist activity, things, objects disappearing, all sorts of stuff that if a UFO wasn't involved, you would say, well, it's a poltergeist or it's a haunting or something like that. So there's no real clear cut, I think, way of separating these things out. This is like a whole range of unusual human experience.
And see, with my channel on The Wonderful World of Weirdness, that was kind of the thing I wanted to get into in its own genre by itself, and most people don't get into that because we have Panther folklore here too,
Really?
Yeah, it's not just like one specific area. This has been happening all, and then like you get into the stories about Crybaby Bridge. You know how many Crybaby Bridges there are in the United States?
No.
It's check out Crybaby Bridges and you'll see what I'm talking about. They are everywhere, man. And what it is people pull up on these bridges and they hear the sound of babies crying in the distance.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's just stuff like that. And then the Panther thing I can kind of get into because like back in the 60s they did do an effort where they wanted to decrease the deer population in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And there has been accusations made that they dumped big cats into areas to decrease the deer population. I don't know how true that is.
We've got here like most states, we've got an environmental conservation office. You call it NCON here, DEC, and we've had like times when the deer population grew. They generally just issue more doe permits for hunters. There has been talk of reintroducing wolves to our area, and some people say that there are, but we've had a phenomenon here. I go on again about like when you remove like an animal from the ecology, like they killed all the wolves around here, other animals will move in. So we have these coy dogs, they call them, feral dogs that go out, they breed with coyotes, and they're getting pretty big. And of course, they're simply filling that ecological niche. And out here you can hear them sometimes off in the distance howling and barking and yipping and stuff. It's kind of interesting. Actually, I was camping last summer and we actually heard a deer being killed by a pack. You could hear them like closing in. You could actually hear the deer scream. And Crybaby Bridge. All right, local ghost story. Yes, Bob has been posting in the chat. And yeah, she was wondering when we're ending. I have to get going here pretty soon myself, but she's telling us about Crybaby Bridge.
Yeah. Let me see. Usually we end when everybody's ready for it to end. So. She says Crybaby Bridge or Crybaby Bridge is a type of local ghost story, not one single bridge. The name gets attached to many bridges in the United States, usually with a legend that at night you can hear a baby crying near the water below. The story pattern is usually the same. A baby dies near the bridge, often in a drowning, crash, or murder story. Sometimes the mother is said to be haunting the place too. And visitors are told that they can trigger the haunting by stopping on the bridge, turning off the car, honking, or listening in silence. Those repeated motifs show up across many places, even when the details change. What makes them interesting is that they are folklore templates. Communities often recycle the same haunted bridge structure and fit it into a local road, creek, or old tragedy. In at least some cases, folklorists have argued that certain Crybaby Bridges stories are closer to folklore than verified local oral history, especially where nearly identical stories appear online without older local evidences. Yeah.
All right. Now I can explain that, at least in part. I just had this vision suddenly while you were reading this of some people saying, "Oh, there's the bridge. It's the haunted bridge. Let's stop there and see if we can hear the baby." So they go out to the bridge, they turn off their car, and they start honking their horn. And some poor couple with a baby that has a house nearby, like honk, honk, and the baby starts crying. Who the hell? They're waking up our baby again. Like, hey, I heard a baby crying. And somebody comes out, yeah, it's the third time this week someone woke up our kid. Stop it. I'm sorry. That was my first thought.
That was horrible, Otto. That was just horrible.
Yeah, pretty hard. On that note, I do have to get going here pretty soon. I'm not usually here on Fridays and stuff, but I was glad I was able to make it for some of the time at Wacky Running. I have to reorganize my online time here. I'm suddenly online a hell of a lot more. I don't know how that happened, but here I am almost every night.
Now, before you go, you want to give your socials so that everybody can figure out how to get in touch with you.
Sure. You can check out my website at navakavada.org. That's NAVAKAVADA. It's spelled just like it sounds. You can also find me, AutoX, at minds.com, a very interesting place. And of course, we've got a Navakavada YouTube channel, and there's even a Navakavada BitChute channel that's got some older stuff on it. I'm sometimes to be found, down at the corner of the supermarket, and at Roger Hanson's places online at the teams. And that's about it.
Okay. So, Bob Dub, before you head out, you want to do that? You want to give your socials?
Thanks, Roger. Okay, I'm on Bob Dub. Wherever you go, I sort of have a channel. Most of them aren't maintained, but minds.com is maintained and YouTube is maintained.
Okay.
So if you want to get a hold of me, Bob Dub on Minds or on YouTube. Thanks, Roger.
You're okay. And also, both of these guys are really, really big on the Infinite Imaginarium on minds.com as well as on YouTube and other platforms. So check out their videos as well as the groups that are available on minds.com if you want to go check them out. Well, I don't believe you have Infinite Imaginarium, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, we're there a lot, yeah.
Okay, so
in the chat group, yeah, we are.
Well, I mean, on Minds, you guys have an actual.
There's a Minds Infinite Imaginarium channel, and you're very likely to see our content, especially Bob's content there.
Okay. Just wanted to do that for you because Otto has got like an amazing channel too. It's called Automatic Pilot. You guys can check it out.
Our show every Tuesday night. Tune in if you like. We're there on all the different platforms, Roger, that you've got for us is amazing. Rumble and YouTube.
Rumble, YouTube, Kick, Twitch, and I think that might be all of them. I'm not sure. I used to do D Live. I've lost track, to be honest with you. I know we're streaming on them right now, but I couldn't tell you what they all are. Rumble, YouTube, Twitch, and Kick.
Nice. And you used to do the other, but no more.
Right. D Live is turned into D Sucks.
Well, gentlemen, and of course, Bob, I thank you all for spending time with me this evening. I'm really happy to be here, and I look forward to being here again.
Thanks for being here. We really did enjoy everything you said. These are other than Mark Edworthy, these are the two smartest people on the internet.
Hey, we got B here too. He's a very sharp-edged kind of a guy as well. Very sharp guy.
Well, me and B, we're in the same genre. Okay.